Alright. Welcome back to Nick Lenz Comic Corner Classic, Non-Classics. This is episode number 1804 and double shot number 1698. Two more double shots to go before we reach the 17th double shot. Alright, first up we have Power Man Iron Fist Epic Collection Volume 1 Heroes for Hire. This collects Luke Cage, Power Man, issues 48 to 49, and Power Man Iron Fist, 50 through 70. 48 to 49, I've kind of talked about these issues already when I discussed the Iron Fist book. Basically, chronologically, this is set just after that two-parter that happened in Marvel Team Up, which wrapped up loose ends from the Iron Fist book. This is basically the very next thing that happens. Basically, of Luke Cage going after Misty Knight, because stuff related to him, and basically we're gonna have a crossover. Basically, have Luke Cage interacting with Iron Fist, and they work together as a very good two-part. It ends up basically to Luke Cage getting pardoned and have his name legally changed in issue 50, which the title was retitled by Iron Fist, to from Carl Lucas to Luke Cage. Yep. And he basically thinks he can go back to being the regular hero for hire thing, and then Jerry Forgoff, the basically Iron Fist's lawyer, points out though he's a terrible businessman. He basically the reason why it didn't work out because he didn't market it properly, and over time he basically adds it where Iron Fist becomes official partner. You have Joyce Randall, Joyce McCribb. She actually is the other half of the Rand something corporation. I don't remember her last name. She, of course, still blames Iron Fist for the death of her father from way back in, like, the opening issues of, like, Marvel Premiere. Yeah, that far back shows that big of a grudge. So, over the course of this book, she does get over her grudge against Iron Fist. Her uncle Ward briefly makes an appearance in here. He doesn't do very much. And we also see the return of Sabretooth. Yes, Sabretooth pops up here again. We see a bunch of like Bushmack, basically a bunch of our Luke Cage villains in here. And if you're curious though, this Davos, Iron Fist's arch nemesis appeared here. Nope, at this point in time, he is in fact dead. Yes, he was killed in Marvel Team Up number 64 at this point in time. He was brought back for the more Iron Fist series in 2004, I think it was. Really good comic book. I highly recommend check it out. It's that damn good. Yep. And also, I should point out that some of the writers for these things, sometimes they kept changing writers. Mostly Mario Duffy and Chris Claremont, with also Ed Hannigan, Stephen Grant, and Bob Layton. Stephen Grant, I'd be pointing this out to Mike Zeck. He's a very underrated writer. I do recommend checking this guy's work. He's a really good writer. And, of course, the artists here are, of course, Mike Zeck, which I met him. Kerry Gamble, John Byrne, I met him too. Lee Ellis, Sal Bushma, Marie Sullivan, Alice Weiss. Now, these issues came up from December of 1977, and it wraps up in June of 1981. And from the start, it looks like it was come up once every couple months. Basically, the first time that the book became monthly was in, well, you could say 1981 is when the finally the book became from count once every couple months to basically once a month. Yep. But yeah, Chris Claremont writing issues. 48, I think he does 50 as well. 40, 49, I think 50. He does a very brief period of time. Yeah, he still does it for issue 51. He's basically the main writer for the early issues of Iron Fist. Yes. Yes, for the early issues, it definitely is him at the start of it. And then for issue 54, Ed Hannigan takes over the book. His run is very brief at best. Yes, I definitely say very brief. Then later on, well, he does issue 55, obviously. Trying to find out the other writers here. And then we have Mary Duffy takes over issue 57. And she, at this point, was, in fact, the regular writer of this book from this point forward for 8. She wrote a good majority of this comic book. Yep. We also have her basically have this guy called the El Dorado. He got at one point was actually asked to join the Heroes of Fire, but he declined. We also returned up the Sons and Daughter of the Dragon, Sons of the Tiger, excuse me. You see them bring pop up here because why not? Yep. Yeah. This book overall is so good. And I recommend people fans about Luke Cage and Iron Fist. Check this out. But even though this is the very first book, for Iron Fist, there is a separate epic collection to collect this entire era. Like, his whole appearance he made from Marvel Premiere, all like 11 issues he did for the book. He first read issue 15 and left for issue 25. He kind of placed a Hercules book afterwards. Then he had his 15-issue ongoing series. The only thing the book did not include was the Deadliest Hands of Kung Fu issues. They didn't include that. They put that in a separate book. But it didn't include his appearances in Marvel Tampa in there. And various other stuff here that sure paradigm. And they even included the first 2 issues published in this book here, 40-49. This is the first, I believe, 2 volumes for the epic collection for Power Man and Fist. Yes, because there was a essential novel. Yes, there was at least a couple of them published. They stopped publishing after a while for reasons. Now, there is, in fact, 4 of these books. Yep, there are 4 of them. And these books do collect the entirety of the Power Man and Fist series. Yeah, they only skip 1 issue, and that's 73, and that's it. Yep. The final volume is actually to come out in just a couple months. Yes, the first 3 volumes are out. So, if you get these 3 books, plus, of course, the Luke Cage stuff, you pretty much got this entire book. Mm-hmm. Well, for Luke Cage, they only just did the first 23 issues. I'm just thinking, really? Only the first 23? Yeah, I don't know why they only released 1 book, but there is such a novels for that, and I think there's also some Marvel Showcase books. Marvel Presents, I think it is, yes. So, there's that. Alright, moving on, different book here. By the way, I give the book a 10 out of 10. It's really good. Alright, next up we move to some more recent stuff with Spawn the Record Breaker. This collects issues 298 to 301 for Spawn. This came out, I think, just last year, I think it was. Yep. Of course, this year is the 30th anniversary of the series. Yep. Now, you have Todd McFarlane do pretty much the main writing here with Greg Capullo and Sean Alexander doing the main artwork here. We also have additional artwork here by J. Scott Campbell, Gerard Orpha, Tom McFarlane, and Clayton Crane. We also just around by Scott Snyder. Yes, Scott Snyder got a chance to do some writing here. Most of these issues, it does stall. Basically, I should point out something basically about what's going on in the Spawn book this period of time. About a little over 50 issues prior to this one, issue 250 of this very series, Al Simmons was resurrected. He had been killed off around issue 180 and replaced with Jim Downing. And it's me. The thing with the issues for the Jim Downing era, they were okay. I was not really a big fan of the artwork. It felt too bright. Yes, he operated during the daytime. He was also a healer. No problem with that at all. It's just the thing where, okay, I missed the Al Simmons stuff. And I kind of suggested to somebody, wait, what if Al Simmons was resurrecting issue 250 even though he was the evil Omega Spawn issue 200? And my prediction came true. Because we also had issue 100 of Savage Dragon published not long before that. We had the return of the original Savage Dragon, who, by the way, is currently dead in the Savage Dragon comic book. Yes. So we have them back here, and throughout this, I love the new Al Simmons stuff here. And this particular storyline here does, in a way, sets up a one-shot called Spawn Universe, which sets up 4 new ongoing series for Spawn. Yes. Well, 4 spin-off ongoing series. Yes. And you're thinking, really? Though not the first time he's had him in here. No, not necessarily. Yeah, Spawn actually has had several different spin-offs. There's Sam and Twitch, obviously. They had a couple books for that one. There's one for Angela. The Violator, who does appear in this book, by the way. Yes. The Violator isn't here. Jason Wynn himself is actually not in these issues. Mm-hmm. Now, throughout these issues, Spawn is trying to figure out who killed Wanda because basically she got killed not long prior to this, like a couple years prior to this. And it was basically kind of like the Violator, I think it was. So the spin-off books we have here is the Gunslinger Spawn, King Spawn, and Scorched. And because of the spin-off books, the new spin-off books that Spawn's got, Tom McFarlane himself doesn't have much time to do the main book now, so he basically focuses efforts doing the spin-off books. And I love the fact that Tom McFarlane decided to bring back the whole concept of spin-off books for Spawn. After all, the book is still like crazy. And here's a fun fact for you. Did you know this book is currently one of the highest selling comics books right now? I heard number one, I think it's like King Spawn. I think it's either King Spawn, Gunslinger Spawn. This book does the debut of She Spawn, which David Finch did do a sketch of very recently. I did ask him, what does he think of the current stuff for Spawn? Oh, he loves it. He really does. And Greg Capullo was just telling me recently of like, yeah, he just happened to do 300 because after all, he's the one guy commonly associated with Spawn for artwork at McFarlane. And I pointed out to him that when people think of him, people think of his Batman work or Spawn. And he's like, yep, that's definitely true. Yep. That is 100% completely true. I'm thinking, why did I bring this movie aside? I did have another Spawn origin straight from this. I only limited myself to 2 books per person. I might bring this with me the next time I see him at Comic-Con. It was great to meet him. And this storyline is fantastic. Love it. Yeah, by far, this is the most recent Spawn trade I've ever reviewed. Now, am I going to stop reviewing the origin stuff? Nope. I'm going to give this book a 9.5 out of 10. I do recommend checking these issues out because they're so good. Yes, so good. And can you believe this is only a fairly recent trade for Spawn? Yeah, this was released just fairly recently. Mm-hmm. Like this trade was released just at the start of this very year. These issues came out last year, and McFarlane was hyping the 300 issue up for over a year. Like he really wanted to break the number set by Hellblazer, which non-big comic company like for basically being the longest running independent comic of all time. He really wanted that distinction because the last out of Hell that was Hellblazer, which ended in was it 2018? No, I think it was like 2016. I think it ended. No, it was 2016. I think it was like 2013 ended. Yes, and for a long time that was the longest running independent comic book of all time. And now Spawn has that record. Yep, it broke the Guinness Book of World Record of the longest running independent comic book. If you're curious though, what is currently the longest running American comic book right now? It's a toss between Action Comics and Detective for big companies. For DC is one of those two. For Marvel, it's Amazing Spider-Man because that's put out over 900 issues already. Yep. Yeah, but not much to say with the 2 trades. They're both awesome. Okay, so that's the episode review. Next one is going to be One Piece, the Baruto, and that's pretty much it. Yep, next video. Bye.